All right, so let's talk about Apple TV for a bit. Well, yeah, two
Oh,
reasons why we should invest our time into Apple TV, right?
which I
So
have done.
we will kick off with Swan Song, right?
Oh,
You mentioned to me that you wanted to talk about it. I actually checked it out afterwards after you mentioned it. Because I knew when it came out, right? I didn't watch any trailers. I just knew it was out. But the sell for me, well, if you don't mind, Ricardo, you could do this now. So the sell for me, well, at least what I just knew going in is, well, our boy Mahershala Ali
yeah,
playing two roles, right? Well,
yeah,
pretty much playing himself, but just two different people basically, right? So that's his
right.
sell, right? He's doing the sixth man thing, right? If you know, you know. If you remember, you remember, right? But yeah, so Ricardo, take it away. What is Swan Song about?
Right. So, Song Song is about a character named Cameron. It's the near future, and Cameron is dying. Right. What's going on is that he has some kind of sickness, seems incurable. Not sure what it is. It's never clear to me. I don't know exactly what he had. But
They
he
actually never say what it is
never
actually.
say what it is. Right. Yeah. It's because I know it's one of these things that is blink and miss it as I look back. But sometimes they deliberately don't mention it because it doesn't matter. Um, But he died. So what you have as a solution, as a working solution for this supposed problem, is well, yeah, they can make more or less a perfect clone of you, right? Down to the fact that the clone doesn't even know he's a clone. And what they do with it is that they just kind of give you some closure, and you could basically have the clone replace here in life. So you just replace your life, you die, the original die, and then the clone replaces you. And the clone is more or less identical to you in almost every way, right? It's the Tom Riker thing, right? Um, and the central conceit is, if you're willing to go through with this, and all of the humanistic effort and emotion and weight of this whole decision that you're making. And that's pretty much it. Is he fell in love with Naomi Harris. They go through the memories of that. He has to go to live back through his memories to have the clone make sense, because they had to like effectively scan his brain properly to set up the clone and have the clone be set up intelligently. So the clone thinks that's how the clone's life play out, and then they're gonna erase the clone's memory up to the point of knowing him as those decisions, and then slot him back into into life as it is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And only a handful of people have done it. And it does have a decent cast of characters around Mahushla that really works well. You have Glenn Close, she's great in this.
Mm.
Aquafina is great in this.
Yeah. Mm.
Naomi Harris is great in this.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who else is.
Adam Beach is there, but
Adam Beach, right? Yeah, he
yeah,
is good in this.
he
Yeah,
was I felt he didn't do much, but I guess as he probably
right.
could, he was working for Glenn Close, but yeah.
Right. You use the technical guy, right? You just, this is how to actually do this stuff and make it work now. All the engineering behind what going on. And I thought this was pretty good. I didn't thought it was great. I thought it was pretty good, mostly because it's an extended Black Mirror episode, right? This is not an insult.
Yes. Mm.
It's not an insult, but it's an extended Black. It could have easily been a Black Mirror episode, um, but it because it focuses so much on the humanism of it, just the touching moments in this guy's life, like the opening, the early part of the film has a memory of his, which is great scene with him and Naomi Harris involving a piece of chocolate, right?
Yeah, that was so charming, but
Yeah,
yeah, that was
great
great.
scene, and it's just him as a person. They run through all the emotions. They do. I forget what it's called. The the 5 stages of grief or
Oh,
whatever.
five stages of grief. Yeah, yeah,
You get
yeah.
that vibe from it. I'm not sure exactly, but it's pretty much that, right? It's him having to just accept that, accept going forward, and then the idea that the party gonna go on without him literally. He have that's a hard bite for him now. But in the end of the day, he really don't want want everybody to go through it life with that. They have all kind of great memories. Like Naomi Harris has had a twin brother. The twin brother dies in some time in the past. She has a child. I think she loses a child, if I remember correctly, at some point. Um, they have her not being able to handle that kind of loss, now. And he just can't take it up on himself to have himself be lost. It's assumed that healthcare is free in this universe because like this project has to be ridiculously expensive. I don't know, right?
I know, right?
Right. But they make it work. He's just some guy who, and they just have him playing against himself. And all of it works. All of it works. Mahershala really holds together. Is he nominated for an Oscar? Not sure. He should be.
Not sure. I know he was nominated for a Golden Globe.
All right, he got nominated for the
Yeah.
Globe. Right, cool.
Mm.
And yeah,
Oh, by
I
the way,
don't
you know who won it? By the way,
Will.
yeah,
From yeah,
Will.
Will. Listen, we want to talk about this. We want to talk about this with the next film, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I uh I dug this. I loved it. I've seen it before in other forms. I've seen it before in episodes of Star Trek. It's not new, right? None of it is interesting in that sense, but it is very well done, right? It is very well made. It is very well written. It is very well acted. Set design looks great. I love this. When they do the future, but everything in Seattle for some reason. Future
I
Seattle.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and everything just across the board. I can't be mad at any of it. Everybody does their parts, play their parts, but everybody on the same page with this. Glenn Close in particular, I thought was excellent in this. Um, and yeah, I loved it. I have not much more to say other than, well, we're gonna just harp upon the mortality of life and all of that stuff, right? They cover it. They cover almost all of it, and Mahershala really really holds it together as a lead. Yeah, rating 9 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. For what it is. But as I said, if it was brand new, not brand new material, it's old material shredded, but still very good. So that's about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I personally did not love it as much as you did. I'm
Right.
actually glad that you enjoyed it that much, right? But no, it's not really like anything was wrong with the show.
Right.
It's just that for me, and I do have to admire the show for it regardless. Though I didn't expect the show to really commit to its dramatic angle, right? Like I
Right.
thought that it was going to be not saying that it should have action or suspense though, but I thought that it was going to be something more to kind of keep the audience
Okay.
engaged, right?
Right. Yeah. No,
Um,
I personally was.
genre wise, right? But
No,
it's just we're
I,
gonna stick
I,
with this dramatic story. We're gonna stay with it
yeah.
to the very end.
No, I personally prefer that. Like, I would have really hated, like, if it's some secret conspiracy by Glenn Close or some bullshit like that. I would have hate that. Or the clone really is evil and you have to go and kill him or some shit like that. No, just him.
Yeah, I think I was
Dead
just
destruction.
more expecting something more
Right,
psychological. Like we
right.
really see how this affects Mahershala Ali's character. I felt like
Yeah.
it should have been a little bit more cerebral, right? But
Okay.
here it is very emotionally driven. I must say that you don't really see movies like this these days, that to be honest, modern films like that, right?
Right.
And it's just like these quiet moments, right? The locations, especially where the facility is, where Cameron Turner, that's his name, where his character is, right? With all these trees and all that kind of stuff. I was getting a kind of a Andrei Tarkovsky vibe to it, where
Right.
yes, it's I'm telling you this really like complex sci-fi story, but I'm gonna add Nietzsche to it, right? I'm gonna place these characters in Nietzsche and have them, pontificate about life and mortality and that kind of thing. That I was picking up on that. I have a feeling like the person who wrote this or directed this was watching like Solaris or Stalker. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, that's just me being film nerdy here, right? But I was picking up on that, right? But even like that, you know what I mean? Shows where they have a slow pace. That's another thing. I think another drawback for me personally was just it's a slow burn, right? I understand the nature of it, but it was a slow burn regardless, right? But still, though, you just don't see films like this these days, though, where it's just like we're not concerned about, shocking the viewer or thrilling the viewer. We just telling the story. You're seeing this character's conflict, and we just see how this plays out, and you really understand why, for better or for worse, why the character did what he did, right? Because like even like while the show's played out, you're there like, should he do it? Should he not do it, bro? But just how things play out, especially the use of memory, it kind of makes sense why he continues, why he actually goes about it, right? And it actually makes sense. Aquafina in particular, I thought that she was, subdued, I would say. She
Yeah.
wasn't
Right.
as loud and out there, you know what I mean? Like on screen wise, right? But the moments with her were just sad and, just solid as well, you know what I mean? And yeah, because she also has some sort of terminal illness. I assume it's
Right.
cancer, whatever.
Right.
But
Right.
she
You're not
also
sure.
was
Right.
cloned as well, right? And you
Right.
see
Yeah.
just how she exists in this facility as well too, right? Yeah, but really, really dramatic though. But really, like I said, who holds the film together is Mahershala Ali. Like he comes through, and not just because he has to play two roles or two versions of himself, but just the conceit itself and what he has to go through. Lovely moments with Naomi Harris, right? Especially like where they met and just the where they had a family and loss, and I'm not gonna get into the loss, but yeah, just the ups and downs, right? I was
Yeah.
getting Eternal Sunshine in the Spotless Mind vibes, right?
Yes.
Especially the
Yes. I
way
had
how
that
well
vibe
the
as well. Yeah.
characters met on the train and
Yeah. Yeah.
use of memory and how they just keep going back through all these random flashbacks. They ups and downs, and it almost feels like like, oh, I forgot about this and I forgot about that, and like just through the process of like recalling the memories to the other clone now to the clone, sorry. It's like, oh wow, I forgot about this, and it's just like all these little things, and yeah, it touched home, it hit home for me, sorry, in terms of, yeah, you know what I mean, like, yeah, you don't really like, it's also like missing someone or just knowing how important someone is in your life, where you just really, really go back and remember things. Some things that you kind of honestly forget. Sometimes you just get so clouded in the sadness of certain events now, you just kind of forget about the great times now. So that worked for me, right? But yeah, I mean, you don't see movies like this these days, man. So yeah, I have to give credit where credit is due with that, man. This will appeal. I don't think it will appeal to a lot of people. I think some people might be turned off by the slow burn of it. Some people might expect more things to come out of, more things to happen, more, something more now. You know what I mean? Like in my case, I thought it was going to be some a bit more psychological, some more cerebral now, but more is more like, kind of like life though. We like, I couldn't help but think about, what if one day in the near future, this is the reality of things. This is how we progress our lifespan, so to speak, right? What if, right? But yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I'm gonna give this a life 4 out of 5, man. I think that this is worth checking out, though. It's and yeah, you know what I mean. Mahershala Ali was just great in this film, though.
Yeah.
I do see him getting an Oscar nom at least for this, man. I know
Right.
he won for your favorite movie of all time, Green Book, but still, right? Um, but I think this could be sort of one of those overlooked films. I have
Right.
like while I was watching this, I was telling myself, yeah, this is one that not that many people will latch on to, or not that many people would know it's out, right? But I think that yeah, this deserves more attention. Yeah, because it is a really, really solid film, man. So yeah, definitely check it out, man.
Yeah.
And last but not least, finally, a show that I wanted to talk about since last year, but we couldn't see it last year because it was in theaters last year.
Yeah.
That would be the Tragedy of Macbeth, right? So I will do intro synopsis,
Sure.
then I want to hear your thoughts first, then you'll get to mine. I'll just see mine for last, right? But curious to hear what you think, right? But I'll just say going into just as an intro for this, right? So yes, it is based off of the iconic play Macbeth, right, from
Yeah.
William Shakespeare, right? Now I am no theater arts nerd, so
Me
I
either.
don't know all the aspects of the story. I know the main beats of it, basically, right?
Exactly.
But
Right.
I can't tell you a
Here's the
scene.
thing.
I can't tell you a
The
line,
only reason
right?
that the only reason that I was reminded of the story is other than reading it in primary school was, Kurosawa, right? I mean, that's it, right? So,
Exactly. That was
exactly.
gonna bring up Throne of Blood, which is one of
Right.
my all-time favorite movies, one of all-time Kurosawa films, right? So yeah, that um I would say at the moment still remains my favorite adaptation of Macbeth, right? But there was also one that a lot of people didn't really know about until the Criterion Collection, who actually put out Throne of Blood, actually put this movie out. This would be the Tragedy of Macbeth. Well, it's called Macbeth, but the full name
Right.
is the Tragedy of Macbeth, right? This is a Roman Polanski film that came out in 1971. I
Right.
remember seeing that, and even though it's been a long time since I saw it, though, I just remember just how dark and bleak it was. I mean, the story itself was just dark and bleak, but this one kind of took it like, geez, but like, we're really gonna show you just how messed up this story is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But but I would say going into this though, those are the only two Macbeth film adaptations I ever saw, right? I know over the years we've had various adaptations of Shakespeare plays, right? Some have set his films, sorry, his stories in modern times, or be in different contexts and all that kind of stuff. Like just last year we mentioned Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, right?
Right. Mhm.
Especially with the weird way how it's in a contemporary world, but they actually use Shakespearean dialogue. And I for the life of me, I was wondering how anybody back in '96 who was in love with Leo DiCaprio clearly would understand a single word he was saying, right? But whatever, right? But here with this though, well, the main surprise for me though, well, for the moment the trailer dropped though, is who is directing this?
Yeah,
Joel Cohen.
yeah, man.
I mean, part of the Coen, the duo Coen brothers. I mean, the icons themselves made some of, I would say, some of the best, most provocative, and most forward-thinking, I would say, films of the past couple decades, right? Or should say 3 decades, pretty much, right? But yeah, I mean, for a guy, for a man like Joel Cohen, I mean, if you know him, he's very deep into neo noir. I mean, he likes to find the humor and irony in really really dark situations. Yeah, like he's doing a film adaptation of Macbeth, though. Like, okay, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And it's in black and white, for as well. But also another sell to this now is who's playing Macbeth.
yeah,
Well, Golden Globe nominee, Denzel Washington, right, and soon to be Oscar nominee, to say one time, right? So story, I mean, it's pretty much the same story, right? It's Macbeth, his friend Banquo, they've leaving this war basically, so they fighting for King Duncan.
yeah,
And on their way, they're approached by three witches, and well, the witches tell them that basically Macbeth will become king,
right,
and so that pretty much goes into Macbeth's brain, right? Like instantly, right? He tells his wife, this Lady Macbeth, who's played by Frances McDormand, and instantly just hatches plans like, here's what we gotta kill the king himself, right?
yeah,
So he actually does it. Um, and then afterwards you just see just basically his grip from reality, basically just see
right.
like how slowly he loses his
Yeah,
mind,
true
and
guilt,
just yeah,
true, yeah,
just true guilt and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
then, well, basically, yeah, you see the fall of him, right? You see the tragedy that comes out of it, right? So before I gush over this movie, Ricardo, I just want to hear your full thoughts on it unrated. I just want to hear your thoughts on it first, right? And then
yeah.
I'll get to mine. So your thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I loved it actually. You know, Cohen really holds it together. Great interpretations of the material. Great. Breakdowns of the material. Solid casting. Everybody bounces off each other really, really well. Who holds it particularly well is some of the side people. I was surprised to see some of the side people in this. Um, it had like little people like Harry Melling as Malcolm. I was like, oh,
Yes,
I
yeah.
I, I
I
I
was watching
remember.
the face good. I was like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
like, oh yeah,
dude
you from
from
yeah,
well, he was in Queen's Gambit. He was in
Queen's
the
Gambit, right?
Harry Potter films, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Then it had little small things like little side people like Brian Thompson was in this. I'm like, what? I
Yeah.
I I see you in a
Corey
hot pool.
Hawkins, though.
Right.
Dre from
Yeah.
Straight Outta Compton,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Corey Hawkins from as Macduff, and yeah, and
Mhm.
then who they had, I don't know the actress for Lady Macduff, but she was good too. Um, then they had, yeah, and it's just little side people, and of course,
That's this is Moses Ingram, who
yes,
also was in the Queen's Gambit. Wow, yeah.
right.
Yeah. I forget that too, but
Yeah.
I just wikied it.
Um, but yeah, the the two leads, right? Denzel and Francis, just wow, they look damn good.
Wow,
You
wow.
love them.
A
You love,
game, you know. They are the
yeah,
A game with this one,
yeah,
man.
boy. Yeah, it's like it just to see because I forget how goddamn psychopathic this goddamn story is. It's not my favorite fall from grace military leader story. That
Hmm.
goes to Coriolanus. It's not my favorite. Coriolanus is probably one of my favorite Shakespeare stories. The rise of the
I
soul.
still haven't read that. I should. I really should. Yeah.
Well, okay. So the reason I love it so much is because I knew the story, but I never read it until hearing about the five films coming out. That was about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. And I remember hearing the five films coming out and decided to go read it. This is about a year before the film came out. Decided to read the story, loved it, and then the refined version of the film I absolutely loved. But yeah, anyway, yeah, Denzel and Francis really, really pulls it together. They really hold it. And I'll make the joke. I say, like, listen, if it wasn't for how we know how Oscars is vote and the weirdness of Oscars will vote, I'd feel sorry for Will Smith, Judd, because I kind of feel sorry for Will Smith now. Because, like, yeah, Denzel could totally take this back. Like, yeah, and it happened.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
this literally happened roughly around 20 years ago, right?
Yeah,
Um,
like, I feel Will probably watches like watch Denzel perform. Like, God
yeah,
damn it.
yeah, for real. No, but like knowing how the politics is played out at the time and who does get it and when. Yeah, Will can still probably get it, however. Um, yeah, this really works. All right, so the thing that blew me away about this is just the set design. Like, just
Yes,
watching
dude.
these haunting hallways, like just it watching in a distance, and it looking as kind of borderline Dr. Caligari kind of vibe to the whole thing. Um, it remind me of the black and white Joan of Arc. Remember that old film?
Oh, right, right.
That scene,
From the 1920s,
yeah,
yo.
back, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, hot minute. But yeah, it had that great, high contrast. We gonna use a big film word now, chiaroscuro.
Ah,
um,
yes, ah, yes. Was it
yeah,
chiaroscuro? Whatever,
chiaroscuro,
whatever.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
point is,
chiaroscuro, whatever, right?
whatever. I only use it like once in that essay once, right? But yeah, it looks great. It had this one shot in particular that impressed me when they were going to the Macduff, the Macduff home, and the boy was running inside, coming towards it, and it's just this high contrast and it brightened, the light
Oh,
shining on.
I know you talk about. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I was like, but look at real hard. It's like a total background though, like right there though. And then what they do with the True Witches, I really love. Like just it had the I don't know who's the actor, but their body twisting about. And I was like, what? But it's real hard, though. And then you see it standing above the pool, and you see the two in the reflection, and one above, and then the smoke clear, and they show back up. And it real
Oh, I'll,
trippy.
I'll tell you this, right? When I saw that shot, boy, I was like,
Yeah,
I fucks with this show.
yeah,
I
and
fucks
it's
with this
trippy
show.
and
I fucks with it. I
it
fucks with it.
just trippy and weird, but it makes perfect sense in the context of the story. Because it's like, yeah, it's a kind of workable madness. That's the whole story, right? And the how power is driving you mad. And they just make so much of it work that I really dug it. And then that sequence when he gets the second, well, effectively the second prophecy, learning about Macduff. That sequence is great too because you find out
Yes.
you see him sitting down in the pot and they dropping the stuff from the phone. And like, but it's real fucking honest. Like,
I
what
know, right?
yeah. And again, I really is a real unfortunate that we didn't see this last year because this would have definitely make my top 10 list. If not
Uh-huh.
my top three.
Uh-huh.
I absolutely love this too. More and more thinking about it. I'm definitely gonna give it a rewatch sometime this week. Just watching in terms of this technique and this how they do the shot and how they did this because it looking damn good and it looking weird and it just my kind of weird now. It's perfect for me. Rating, a 9 out of 10, close to a high 9 if anything, but it's a really, really, really excellent production overall. I can't go wrong with any of it. None of it I hated. Look, I ain't no big super fan for Macbeth, so I'm sure it had some bullshit that they miss, or they probably rush Lady Macbeth's story and you were supposed to see her die or some bullshit like that. I don't know. But what I saw, I loved, and it was really, really good. Again, in the age of the internet, it kept my attention, and it's an interesting conceit to see something like this in the year 2022. How we've had so much analysis, so many versions of this, so many different takes, so many versions, how many remixes. And in this age, just to get something so strange and sublime, and subversive, and there's a kind of surrealistic, I use a lot of S words for some reason. Um, making it just come together in such a fantastic production. Yeah, Joel Cohen just absolutely fucking nailed this too. Like it just real work too. I
Yeah,
dug it.
yeah, yeah.
It's a real shame. It's a real shame I didn't see this last year because it would definitely make my best of the year. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it in my brain for this year, the end of this year, hopefully. So yeah, I loved it.
No, you're putting me in a position now because now I wondering if I should have this here as one of my favorites of 2022. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, no,
just
that's
to
why
keep.
the zoo. That way the zoo.
Hmm.
I'll just remember it. If I missed it last year and I didn't put it down, I'll say, all right, well, I saw it, and I'll just give the warning. I've got it on my phone now, so and as usual, Google keeping everything in check. So like, good Google,
Uh
don't forget.
huh.
Thank you. So yeah, I'll just put it down and just I'll mention because I have enough things that come real early in the year, and I'll just mention it at the end of the year, but I didn't see it, so I can't call it. So whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
yeah. But I like you, Dread. This. Well, in my case, this would have been top three for me. I would have put this.
yeah,
I'll put this like this, right? If my pick for best movie was Sum of Soul, right? That's a
right.
documentary, right?
Yeah,
Best non-fiction movie I've seen in 2021. Had I seen this movie, A Tragedy of Macbeth, in 2021, this would have been my favorite fiction movie, right? This to me was how I wanted to feel initially when I saw The Green Knight, right? I mean, I
yes,
love The Green Knight, and The Green Knight was in my top 10 as well, right? But because I
right,
wasn't familiar with the story, I
right.
was just kind of learning the story while I was watching the show now. So, like, when I see things play out, it's like, okay, this is weird, but I am assuming while I'm watching this that this is just how the story was told, and through time, the story itself was reinterpreted and all that kind of stuff, which kind of explains the sort of way the story was told itself, right? That's how I kind of see, like, oh, we're just drawing from different interpretations, and this is my take on this. I'm just kind of pulling all together and making this coherent film story, right? That's how I saw it, right? But again, I did not know the story of the Green Knight, right? But in this case, because I know because I know the basic gist of Macbeth, was just roped in from shot one, scene one to the very
Yeah.
end, right?
Yeah.
And that's similar to you. I mean, I am no expert when it comes to theater arts or to Shakespeare as well too. So maybe you could come and tell us, well, no, in the actual thing, this is what happened and that happened. And when you're performing it theatrically, you're supposed to do it like this way, and it's supposed to be more visceral here and all that kind of stuff, right? Speaking of theater, right? What this show nails perfectly, in my opinion, Dred. I can't really think of any movie that does it. Maybe there were other films that did it, right? Like when you're like if you were watching a play, like watching this on a stage, right? Sorry, watching this in the audience on a stage, right? Remember, you're seeing the stage, right? You're seeing the set, you're seeing the actors, but because you are far away from the actors themselves, all you just have to go for, what really roping you in is just the way how they speak and their body movements. That's
Right.
all you could really latch onto,
Right.
right?
Right.
With this movie here, I thought it was a smart call in doing this. You realize that they focus a lot on faces, on facial features, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, this show literally takes you from the audience and puts you smack dab on stage. So you are watching the actors doing their thing, right? So it's not just because, like, I was thinking about it while I was watching performances. Like, anybody could, talk like this because this is how I must talk because this is an act, right? I'm
Right.
acting. That's easy, right? You could fake that, right? Or you could move about and fake it, right? But to convey convey the same emotion through, just little facial tics and whatnot, and you see that with nearly everyone on screen though, it works though. It adds a lot to the story. So you're buying into everything you're seeing here. Because yes, what I mean, on surface level, what you're seeing here is a stage play. That it's
Right.
intention. That it's designed to be that way, right? But because the show puts you right smack dab in front of everybody now, you're seeing the conviction in everybody's performances, right? And speaking of performances by Denzel Washington proves once again why
Yeah.
he is one of the greatest actors, living or dead, Dread, like ever in my
Yeah.
opinion. Boy, this man commits it
Yeah.
though.
We started the show with Sidney Poitier, and we
Yeah,
had
with
end
Sidney
with him.
Poitier, I was thinking
Yeah.
that same thing too. Like
Yeah.
like just it's. I mean, again, it's unfortunate that Sidney Poitier died, Dread, but like. Yeah, like this Denzel, like you could see, like, yeah, I am gonna be up there as one of the greats, Dread. Just like a Sidney Poitier. Like, I mean, he's been in the game for what decades, Dread. But it's
Yeah.
still amazing that even now in this decade, he is still delivering these great performances. This is one of his greats in my opinion. Like, I love how he commits it. He commits to the theatricality of it. He commits to the weirdness of it. He commits to the absurdity of it as well too, right? Like the way, like, case in point when he becomes king and he's talking down to one of his subjects. It's
Mhm.
like, yes, boy, what I mean, go,
Yeah.
get away from me, and how he
Right.
does
Okay. So
that.
the one,
I thought it was brilliant.
if I really scoring and trying to come in, a flaw in this, right? I'll say the only issue I had with it was some of the accents felt a little modern. Like, that's the thing. I was
Oh,
a couple of the moments with Francis McDermott, a couple of moments with thing, and the only time you really notice it is when Lady Macduff and, well, the son, I think his son, right,
yeah,
was
the
talking.
son, yeah.
Right, they were
Yeah,
talking.
because
It's
the
like,
son
yeah, this,
sounded kind of normal though, but no,
yeah,
he sounded
exactly.
normal at first, but near the end he was trying to do an accent. He was trying to,
Right, right. So that is about
Yeah,
it. That's the only kind of complaint, if anything. But like,
yeah.
that is, it's a
No,
mild
but
complaint.
but yeah, but that no, that's a good complaint there. That's a good criticism, right?
Right.
And again, not expert at all things theater arts now. Now I'm warning now, like, people who are experienced in that, or not just experienced acting on stage, but
Um.
watching or directing now will
Yeah.
probably like
Because,
really like overanalyze these
right.
performances and be like,
Exactly. Oh, because this guy from oh gosh, he was in it, another black actor who's coming up and he disappeared for a hot minute. Shit, what's that man name, boy? Julia Stiles, a movie back in the day. Save the Last Dance. What's that man name?
Oh, what is this
Sean
way?
Patrick
It's
Thomas.
Sean Patrick Thomas. He was in
Sean
that too.
Patrick Thomas.
Yes, he was
That's
in
right.
this movie.
He was in
I
this.
was
He has
watching
a
the
part.
face and like, wait, I
Yeah,
know this
exactly.
guy from somewhere. I know this guy from
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
Save the Last Dance. Because I was thinking, oh, I was like, no, that was Mackay Pfeiffer. I like, no, it's Sean Patrick Thomas. Was in another
Yeah.
Othello-ish kind of story, no.
Now, good thing you bring up Othello.
Right.
Good thing you bring up Othello, right? So speaking of Othello, and yes, I forgot about O. O was a modern retelling of Othello, right?
Right.
Another thing that again, not a big theater fan, not a theater nerd, right? Now, I think that the decision to cast Denzel as Lord Macbeth though was brilliant. I don't say it's
Yeah.
perfect, but it's brilliant, right? But it's a very self-aware aspect of the show that I love, right? Because like when it comes to like see the character of Othello, because the character of Othello is a Moor, right? Of
Yeah.
course, you have to cast a black man, right? So
Right.
I don't remember from the 90s, there was
The Lawrence Fishburne
Lawrence
version, right?
Fishburne
Yeah.
play him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, yeah, nobody else could play that. Like, I can't imagine ever, some performance of Othello on stage where a white man or some other or
Right.
some other ethnicity play him, right? But in case of Macbeth, it kind of makes sense to casting a black man, right? Because like, yeah, literally, if you think about it, anybody could play. I mean, look us in Trinidad, like. I don't know if there was ever a performance of Macbeth. I imagine there was, probably, maybe, but you're telling me what, you had to cast a fair skin or a white man, so to speak, to play him? No, you know what I mean? It's just a guy who could bring the gravitas that, well, Denzel did it, right? It's all pretty interesting too, though, because yeah, I mean, Frances McDormand is playing, Lady Macbeth, right? But it was interesting though that not only that you have Corey Hawkins playing Macduff, but you
Right.
have he has a black wife and a black son. I was like, okay,
Right. Right.
so
Right. Right.
maybe it's
Yeah,
touching
little things like
subtle,
the soldiers
little
or
thing.
whatever
I
things.
don't
Yeah.
think it's anything to overanalyze, but I was like, okay,
Right.
so I think maybe it's just the nature of theater performances. That's the
Right.
reasoning behind casting, right?
Yeah.
I don't think somebody gonna come out and be like, well, why you cast black people to play it? It's in Scotland, man. Blah. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
dude, that's not the point, right? But I love the self-awareness of the show, Dre, where it's like, yeah, it's really a stage play, and anybody could play this, right? But I chose these characters and these actors, and they did a thing. But yeah, I mean, I talk about Denzel enough, though. Frances McDormand, though, wow, she proves once again why she's one of the great actresses, there right now, right? And it makes sense also too because married to the director, right? So duh, right?
Right. Right. Of course.
Yeah. But and one thing I really dug about the show too is the psychological aspects about it too. Again, not a theater buff, so people might question why they have these monologues and they're talking to themselves. But I love those moments because I thought like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you gotta show these characters kind of slowly lose their shit. So you see Lord Macbeth talking to himself, you see Lady Macbeth talking to herself, right?
Yeah.
And those moments work though. And then especially well when the deed is done though, it is some of the most chilling stuff that I've seen like in a movie. Like I would say for this year though, it is so incredibly chilling, especially the use of sound. I will have to give credit for the sound design for this though. You saw it in the trailer though with the bomb and just that sound design though, but how they make it work in terms of well the murder of the king itself, right? King Duncan and the guilt man, how it just kind of expresses like, oh, I'm gonna keep hearing the sound. It totally works, right? I mean, the cast was great. I mean, from not just Denzel and Francis, but Corey. I was actually concerned about Corey's performance, but I thought that he nailed it as well.
Yep.
Brandon Gleeson, who plays King Duncan. But who deserves a lot of praise though is Catherine Hunter, boy,
Yeah.
who plays not
Yeah.
just
The witches.
well,
Yeah.
there's an old man character that shows up later on. I
Right.
didn't
Right.
even
Right.
know about that character until I saw this, right?
Well, at the
But the
beginning and the end,
witches
yeah.
themselves, yeah, the
Right.
witches.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, guys, but the depiction of the witches in this movie, boy,
Listen.
for the moment
Yes.
I saw that, I was like, I fuck with this movie. This hard.
We
It's
get
hard.
some,
It's hard. It's hard.
but
It's hard.
they start you off with some body horror, Dread. Like
Yes, boy. I
we
was
know in
like,
here, Dread. It's like, but is there a lot
and
of
it
us?
works too. It
Yeah.
adds to the creepiness. Because one thing about this show, it's creepy
Yeah.
throughout. Though it just
Yeah.
maintains this dark creepiness. That it reminds me a lot of like David Lynch, Eraserhead. We just
Yeah.
how it just
Yeah.
teens this dark, cold, creepy tone throughout now. And it makes sense because it's black and white, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Catherine Hunter, boy, wow. She has to get a nomination for for this performance alone, boy. It is mind blowing in my opinion. So brilliant. Just perfect casting, perfect depiction of the witches though. I would have never thought about that though. That was just so ballsy. And that's the way how she transitions into the characters though. Even that shot that they mentioned with her by this pool, just brilliant, right? But yeah, there's some brilliant. I was gonna say exquisite, but just brilliant set design though. I love how sparse the visuals are, Dre, where like if it was your average, period piece, you'd have to have these lavish sets, lavish interiors, and grand castles, all that kind of stuff. No, yeah, Joel kind of keeps things sparse though, so you will see enough detail for you to know where characters are, but it's always like space in between, right? So whether it's light, whether it's shadow, whether it's fog, right? And it just kind of creates this sort of again drawing from German expressionism, has some visual noir to it as well too. So yeah, I mean, I just love the visuals for this. I love how it just kind of fits into this world. So when you look at it, like at first glance, it could come off like, yes, I'm watching like you know sets on a stage, right? Where it's just props basically, right? But there's detail to the props themselves, though, that
Yeah,
that kind of
it
adds
just
to the
yeah,
to the film
it just
itself.
had
I
that
love that.
surrealism to it now. It's like it looking off and it's like uh it, it just kind of throwing you off. Like you have this one scene where they're watching on like a bunch of columns and hallways. And it
Yes,
almost
yes,
like if it look like when you watch it at first, as I say, it looked like it just like a background now. Like just a picture
yeah.
they put. Like a painting. Like where's called that in oh I find any type of painting it is used for backgrounds in movies, mostly sci-fi it is used.
Or well, Matt
All
Peters.
right, like a matte
Yeah,
painting, right? Yeah. And it looking like a matte painting, kind of. But then when you watch it, like, but have a kind of weird 3D effect. It's like almost like they apply CG to it. So it's like it have the depth of field, and you realize no, that is really in camera. Is the depth of field you're watching. And
yes.
I sit down and pause and watch the shutter. I
Oh,
have it.
you
I
was
have
doing
it.
that too. I was
Yeah.
pausing
And I was like,
season watching
it's
shots.
like it's almost like a kind of optical illusion. But again, because it fits in the whole madness, you're not sure what you're seeing kind of stuff, and their world warping, it made sense. Like that's how I was like reading where you're trying to go for at least now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead now. Yeah.
Yeah, but the cinematography, boy, is Oscar worthy in my opinion. Bruno
Yeah.
Del Bonell, he actually worked on this, right? And well, actually, shockingly enough, he actually worked on the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, right?
Okay.
Which
Right. Okay.
was
Right. Yeah.
the
Another
Coen
Cohen. Right.
Brothers
Right.
release,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So it makes sense, yeah. But dude, he killed it with the cinematography here, boy. I just love again the sparseness of it all. So again, it feels like you're watching a stage, like props on a stage, though. But it's also sets in a film, right? So
Right.
it's just that blurring between the stage and the film and the screen. Sorry, the stage and film that I totally love about this, right? Just for you want to before I get to read it, right? There's not a lot of music in it though, but Carter Burwell, I mean, he's been composing for the Coen Brothers for years now, for years,
Right.
right? From since Blood Simple, right? The Coen Brothers debut film, right? I also own that on Blu-ray, by the way, right? But yeah, though, he just came through with this really dark score, though. I love how subdued it is, right? It's not like blaring and all that kind of stuff, right? It's just low key, but at key moments, it will just kind of like rise, you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, story wise, it is the same story, dude. Like, so because I don't know everything about it, I was like, oh, okay, this happened. I don't know, maybe I should. But one thing I will give the show credit for, I want to like literally read read the actual source material itself, right? It's similar to like how we felt after we watched Green Knight. Like, now you want to read the story to understand what went on, right? Yeah, but because I don't know if anything was changed or added, I can't say for sure. I don't think that everything. I think things are probably tweaked and whatnot, right? But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? But the way how I saw this film in general, right? I couldn't help but compare this to Phantom Thread from Paul Thomas Anderson, right?
Right. 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 Yeah. Which I love.
Whereas
Yeah.
like, all right, I have made films that people have regarded as modern classics. But let me make a film that if I was young and I wanted to get into film, and this was showing on TV, this would be the kind of show I'll just kind of watch and be like, I want to do that. I want to make a film like that, Trent. So that's how Phantom Thread felt like. Like it was like an old school 40s, 50s film. Like it was drawing from like Hitchcock and Kubrick, you know what I mean? But it felt like it was something that came legit from from that period, though, even though it was made in the 2010s, right?
Right,
And
right,
yeah, so that so it's like how I call it. It's like a classic, right? It's me making a classic in the way how classics were made back then, right? This is why I felt Joel did with this, right? Because when you really think about it, it's like, dude, like, ain't you about neo noir films and there's this kind of like dark noir stuff ever so often, like, with the occasional comedy here or there, right? But like, dude, what are you doing Shakespeare, bro? You know what I mean? But to me, how I saw this was like, if Joel and Ethan were young and like their father that just brought this movie out of VHS and they watched this and they probably watched this till like the tape wound or whatnot. Yeah, this would be the kind of show that would inspire them to be filmmakers, right? You know what I mean? So this to me is like Joel Coen's classic, like a film like him trying to do like like what the legendary directors of yesteryear did. Like this is what he brought to the table here. And for me though, yeah, this is easily one of the best adaptations of Macbeth I've ever seen though. I
yeah,
still have Throne of Blood up there because I mean it's a samurai film and it's Akira
right,
Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune. I mean, I fucks with Toshiro Mifune, right? And Akira Kurosawa, but this one though is just one of the darkest adaptations I've seen though. And this is coming from somebody who only saw the Roman Polanski version once, right? So,
right,
I don't want to compare the two, but this one felt like its own thing though, just from a visual standpoint, from just a casting standpoint, from an acting standpoint. It just felt like its own thing, but it felt like also like it was drawing from the source material, from film adaptations, from stage adaptations, and then also from classic films, right? For me, I would have loved if this movie came out from like the 40s and 50s, and I would just watch
right,
this on TCM. I'm like, how's this show real, man? How come nobody talking about this? Like, this would have been me,
right.
Dread. But this is a 2021 movie, Dread. So think about that, right? So, yeah, I gushed over this movie enough to this easily would have been, this would have been a tie basically. This would have been close to a tie as far as best movie of 2021. But I saw it in early 2022, so I can't really call it, right? But yeah, dude, this is up there's one of the best shows I've seen this decade. Yes, I'm going high with this one. I'm gonna give this. Well, I don't. I give up to fives though. I was thinking of I would say right at the moment I would give this a strong 4.5 out of 5, close to a 5. I have a feeling if I watch this again though, this easily would be a 5 out of 5 though.
Yeah,
And just a couple of things last before we wrap up, right? I saw this on my 21-inch monitor, boy, and I was like, God, so for one thing, I am glad that I saw it big on a big enough screen, because if I just watch this on my laptop, I'll be like, dog, why am I not watching this with the laptop? Sorry,
yeah.
why
That's the
not
thing.
watching it with the monitor?
I just come close to fooling myself into thinking right now. I have a 55-inch monitor. I think from Christmas. I watched it on
Right.
that. It looked great.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's the closest thing, because I haven't been to cinema for a hot minute now. So it's that, right?
Yeah.
And it looked great. It looked damn good. So it's
I
like,
agree, boy. This is
but
one of the
what
best
do
looking
is
shows I've.
I put myself in the right, because I work out like we call it the projection perspective now, the perspective location, and like, all right, let me see how well I can do this without damaging my eyes. Um,
Right.
yeah, so I was there and I was too close, but it was close enough. But it's like whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah, this is one of the best looking shows I've ever seen actually, right? It actually, in terms of black and white filmography. Sorry, it is a black and white photography actually.
yeah,
It actually rivals Robert Eggers' the Lighthouse, right? And I
right,
mean,
yeah,
look, it's E24, right? So
yeah, of
A,
course,
right? Look at that, right? I mean E24, boy, y'all just coming through with just dope shit, boy, right?
yeah,
But yeah, this is one that I need in my collection as soon as though I have a feeling this might get a Criterion collection release one day.
right,
But yeah, I will buy this in a heartbeat though. This is easily one of the best Coen films I've ever seen though. And this is coming from someone who isn't even the biggest hugest fan of the Coen brothers though. But yeah, this one will be up there as one of their classics. I talk about the brothers themselves, right? But not
yeah,
individually, right? Yeah, though. Expect this to be be nominated in the Oscars. Expect this to win a couple of Oscars, though.
Yeah.
I am rooting for Denzel to win, though. I
If
mean,
there's no, if there's no win, nothing, that'll be like a real snub, Dread. This had to get something, Dread.
this how to get something.
Cinematography
Even
at
if it's
least.
cinematography,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Even if it's supporting actress to
Yeah,
Catherine
Francis McDormand.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Give it to somebody, boy. Give
Yeah,
it to
Dread.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as our best film of the year, look,
I
I'd
sure.
be happy. I'd be happy, but I still think they're gonna lean towards the Power of the Dog, and the Power of the Dog
Right.
is
Pretty good,
deserving
right? And
of it, right?
she's a she's a classic too. You know, I mean, come on, goddamn director of the piano. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be happy if she win Best Director too. But if
Right.
Joel win
Right.
for this, I will be just as happy. I'll be
Yeah.
just as
Yeah.
happy, right?
Yeah.
But yes, folks, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
This is one of the best movies I've ever
Yeah.
seen. This
It's
should
the
have
real
been in
deal,
my top
Holyfield.
5 last year. This had me excited. Like when I came out of this way, I was like, I just couldn't. I just can't wait to talk to somebody about this. Right, this was literally the day before we even met up here. But I was just so excited. This kind of just rejuvenate me literally, right? So yeah,
Right.
I can't wait to watch this again, boy. This is the real deal. Do not miss the tragedy of Macbeth. And and last thing, right? Um, just in case, have some subs or closed captions close by before you get kind of lost in translation, because
Right.
it's Shakespeare, right?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
could
yeah.
you could tell visually what's being told and what's being hinted at and whatnot. But I know when it comes to this, though, there's a lot of subtext to it. That's another thing, the reason why I want to read the source material, so because I know there's a lot that actually goes on in this story, though. That's again subtext there. So
Right.
yeah, I would recommend kind of before you get lost in translation, having some subs so you can understand what's being said, right? But yeah, we talk about the show enough. Go see this movie, please. Please watch it.
Yeah.